Hey, really excited to be here today with Dean Fraser, the co-founder and CEO of CDN Controls, a Canadian-based company now operating in the US as well. And we're going to talk about his growth path from starting with himself and his partner Nick, the two of them, going out on their own to what they've grown to today, which is a pretty amazing feat of, they're not there yet, but moving towards 1,000 people on their team. Not exactly, but soon. Anyway, so Dean, hey, thanks for being here today. I'm excited to hear you and talk about your story and your journey.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks for having me, Kevin. Always great to sit down and chat with you in person or virtual. But yeah, just to share a little bit about CDN. So we've been in business since 2011. Started the business in Grand Prairie, Nick and I, and now we're a leader in the E&I space, solar space, automation space in Western Canada. We've grown the business like you had said from essentially from nothing to 750 people and still growing. We have some recent expansions coming up in the US as well, which we're super excited about. So we're looking forward to see where that can go. Just with recent changes in the US, we're very excited to see that the energy industry take off down there as well.
Yeah. Now, can you explain for people who are watching this what E&I is? I know it is electrical and electrical and automation, but if you can explain it in terms that people that aren't familiar with the industry, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I mean, E&I is electrical instrumentation. We work with producers, midstreamers, downstream. We do anything from maintenance to construction of well sites, gas plants, compressor stations, pump stations, you name it. We're also in the renewable space as well. We build industrial solar farms, and then we have a bunch of other services, value added services that we have as well. We have automation, we have combustion emission services, measurement, fabrication, telecommunications, fiber optics. So yeah, we have our hands in lots of different services.
Yeah.
All which, E&I is our core focus, is the main, provides the most revenue for our business, but those are other services that we offer that are value added services to our clients, kind of a one-stop shop. And when we did start CDN, that was the intention, to be a one-stop shop where a customer comes and they don't have to go elsewhere for services that we can provide, that makes sense, that are within our wheelhouse, so to speak.
Yeah. So basically, in terms, in non-technical terms, it's all the kind of the hard wiring of the general electrical that people be familiar with in the energy for energy clients, and the instrumentation being the technical pieces that gives data and insights and measurements on those systems. Is that? Please say
the instrumentation and electrical, they work hand in hand. I mean, on the instrument side, it's more the measurement, analytical data, and then from there we get into the programming, programming, the PLCs, RTUs, DCSs, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of would be the brains of the facilities, that we're working in or building on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as I've got to know you, Dan, your vision has really led the growth and success of CDN, and you just keep pushing on growth. And a couple of things about Dean is, and there's leadership. He really helped to build relationships and partnerships in the community, and he's really built their HSC programs, finance, business development, people, culture, strategic planning, and continues to lead as the CEO of the organization. And watching your growth has been absolutely incredible. I mean, the growth of the business, and obviously you've learned lots of things around. And one of your greatest strengths is, we've talked about is really getting amazing, accomplished, skilled people to come be a part of the CDN team as you grow, because you continue to dominate, and as a market leader, you want to continue it, and you're continuing to get the talent. So it's awesome to see and awesome to watch you and your team obviously do some great things. So tell me about. Go ahead, Dean. Go ahead.
One thing that I've been fortunate enough with over the years is, been able to surround myself not just with good people on my team, but good people in my network that have been able to provide me some insight and guidance and just direction and just to talk about business and the scenario out in Kelowna and the network of people out there and sitting around the fire and having a conversation. There's a lot of good chats and a lot of knowledge that was around that table. And, I
Oh yeah.
really think that's been huge as well.
It has. When you have a community like that of, a bunch of entrepreneurs and people in different spaces that are regularly spent, it's almost like a unofficial CEO forum that group was, and great thinking. And it takes, they say, we talk about, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to help a CEO grow and thrive and build a great organization.
Yeah.
And when you have it internally and extra, it's the best. And
yeah,
some
absolutely. I think you
awesome.
need a combination of both in order to get where you need to be or where you want to be.
You do. It's so fascinating. So many people think that, entrepreneurs or even elite athletes, how they do it alone and it's just determination. Like it's so much, and we'll chat about this a bit later, so much about the people that you surround yourself with. Like so much. You can't do anything great by yourself. Even the most elite athletes, but for sure in business too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So let's talk about how it began with you and when you and Nick started. Maybe take us back to the beginning.
Yeah, Nick and I have known each other for over 20 years now. You met early 2000s. He was apprentice electrician. I was apprentice instrument tech. We'd worked together. Kind of both went our separate ways. We kept in touch over the years, and then there was an opportunity where him and I were both in similar roles, and we seen where there were potentially holes in the system where we thought we could put together a good company and really provide value added service for our clients. And so we kind of talked it through and away we went. Started CDN and we had no idea where we would be in 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it was. But we did have a vision to create world-class company, and here we are today. And we're very fortunate that as business partners, we get along well, we work together well. We don't operate the same, which now knowing it's a blessing.
Yes.
I'm
picked a good one because I know, Nick, you have very different strengths. Like you very much complement each other.
I'm run and gun, and he's more reserved, and it's worked. It's worked well. It's worked very well. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen when you go down this path, and for us, it worked out really well and continues to work out. And we're super excited and proud of what we've built, but it's we never live on our laurels, right? We're always striving.
You don't know what that is. Yeah. No. Well, if you think about the two of you, like you've constantly been driving on growth. That's been you for as long as I have known you. And he's driving the operations and making sure that, the system is doing great work, which is a great combo, right? Driving the future versus making today amazing in the operations. It's a great combo. So what has really helped you and the company grow the most in your mind when you look over this, past more than a decade?
Well, I mean, just our determination to win, right? And we're just always we're always hustling all day, every day. It never turns off. He's the same, whether it's Saturday night or there's a text or or Monday morning or whatever day there. We're always on. We're always thinking of what we can do better, how we can grow, and I mean grow profitably too, right? It's not just about It's
Yeah.
not just about, the revenue number, it's you're wanting to build a business and build it profitably, but yeah, we're on all the time. I think, there's a bit of productive paranoia that we
Yep.
have, that we're always looking over our shoulder, and we're always aware of that, right? We're never gonna say, this is good enough, right? We want to do better and continue to achieve big things.
Hmm.
Um, you
That's
know,
that's a massive thing, Dean, because you watch it when people get comfortable and they start to be okay with it, everything starts to get loose. Like the whole thing slows down, and that 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 pushes. I mean, obviously, it gets you great results, but it also keeps the company strong.
right. And we have had we have a newer to CDN. She's been there a few years, Jennifer Chapman. She's our director of communications, and she recently had a campaign going, within the last year, Heart and Hustle, and it's kind of who we are
Oh
as an
yeah,
organization. Like we whether you're a frontline worker or whether you're the CEO, it's the same mentality, and we push that right through the business. And it speaks about who we are.
yeah. And do you see that in your managers and in your front lines as well? Do you see it cascade?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, it's right from the front lines all the way to
yeah.
all the way to.
It's not just you and Nick talking about this and Jennifer relaying it. It's like the whole. It's in the DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, we just recently did a culture assessment. We brought in a third party to do, kind of see where the culture was within CDN, not just on the executive senior leadership team, but management and frontline employees as well. And when all said and done, and we gathered all the data and put it all together, it's you know what they think CDN is and what we think CDN is was very, very, very close. So it was
That's
good.
awesome.
It was a good exercise, because you're never quite sure, right? As you grow,
Yeah,
you just don't you just don't have that touch with the frontline guys as much as you used to, and it's not by design. It's just by sheer volume, and
sure. Yeah,
you're just not enough time in the day. But yeah, it was a great exercise, and at the end of the day, we were pretty happy to see that, collectively,
it's there.
organization, we had 85% of people respond to that survey, and yeah, it was almost overlapping.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
what I'm curious, what are the things you think that help that to be the same on the front line or very similar in the front line as it is, with what you and Nick started with? What are the things you think that help that?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, managers managers that are, touching that front line every day, they're hearing the message from us, and they know where we want to go and how we need to get there, and they're delivering that message. And I think people can see that we're out there, we're hustling,
Yeah.
we're doing what we need to do, we're bringing work through the door, we're bringing opportunities, we're expanding, we're acquiring
Oh, yeah.
companies, so it's not.
Every time I talk to you, you're doing something else like that. And that's contagious.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fun part of the business, and I enjoy doing that. It's part of our growth strategy is definitely
Yeah.
through acquisition. I mean, you can grow organically, but it takes a lot longer. And if we can find good companies that have similar culture and values as us, we're interested in trying
That's
to
good.
trying to acquire them all day long.
So you started with this big goal to make a great company, and like you have. What's the next big goal, the next big focus that you have if you look forward?
As we were purchased by the Hoffman family in March of this year, March 15th of this year. And, with that, we've got some access to the US. That's where they're based out of. So yeah, we're definitely have a big push on trying to grow and acquire in the US and build out that business. Our entity in the US is called Cavis, CAVIS. And we just think there's tons of opportunity down there that, energy businesses in Texas alone is bigger than all of Canada. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
bet.
just tons of opportunity down there. And we feel, with our success that we've had on the acquisition side and and extreme growth, that we can transition that down there and find the same success south of the border as we have north of the border.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great for Canadian companies when they move into the US and get a foothold and start to be able to build their growth engine. Like it's an exciting place to do business. There's 10 times the opportunity there is here just by population. But yeah, in your space, there's a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've grown like, from four essentially to start to 750 people, 11 branches, 4 acquisitions so far, more to come, I'm sure, and indigenous, partnerships that you've done was, I think, six formal ones that you've done. There's lots. Are there other things that, if you look at the top things that have enabled you to grow, if you break that down, what kind of some of the specific things when you look at this? Because it's not by fluke, it's not just drive. You've got mechanisms that have helped you as well.
Yeah, I mean, our indigenous partnerships have been huge. They've definitely helped us to grow and expand. We've been very strategic about where we've expanded and when we've expanded. We've had the benefit of having clients in different areas that were new to us. So you already have opportunities there when you put a sign on a building.
Yep.
But we've done it methodically, and it's not just shooting from the hip. We've made sure that when we do it, it's the right decision, and we're going to put effort into it, right? There's nothing we do that we don't put effort into, and it's all hands on deck. And we when we say go, we go. And we've had great success with that model. And then on the acquisition side, we've had 4 acquisitions over the course of 13 years, and they've all been very successple.
Which is not always the case.
Yeah, there's no shortage of challenges, but you got to, it's just that heart and hustle thing, right? It's just
I love it.
When you say you're going to do something, you do it. And
that's all the customers want. Like, actually do what you say.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done in most businesses.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have amazing customers as well, right? We have customers that we've had since day one that are still our top customers. A lot of long-standing customers. I mean, you're always getting new customers. There's change, and there's lots of M&A on the producer side as well. But we always seem to maintain and grow that customer base and grow that business within the customers we have, and the value-added services, right? I mean, it's a big part of the business, right?
Yeah.
We want to be doing.
Well, once they trust you and you've done some good work, they're happy to have someone they trust do more work.
Yeah, exactly. And we put any of the services we do, we'd put them out with any customer. We have great people running those parts of the business, and it's easy for the customer to, like you had said, right? They trust us. And my what I like to tell them is, give us a shot, right? You have one hand to shake or one throat to choke. So
yes.
Yeah. And we haven't had to deal with the latter. So
yeah, that's good. Let's keep it that way. Well, let's switch and talk about your people, because you've added an incredible amount of people in not that long. So what is the biggest learning you've had about when it comes to building a great team? Obviously, you can have the best customers in the world, the best services, but without great people, it doesn't come to life and deliver. So what have you done that's really helped you in terms of building a great team?
Well, I mean, it all starts with people, right? We need people. It's a people business, and it's a numbers business. And in order for us to do what we want to do, we need people, but you need exceptional people on the team. I would say 2015, we hired a CFO. Now, we had never had a CFO before. That was a big step for us. Obviously, bringing on
Hmm.
a big salary, not knowing exactly what a CFO should do or needs to do. And, came to us with, through recommendations of a friend of mine. And, that was just one step where it was like, hey, we're bringing kind of someone else into the business that, maybe doesn't really understand the E&I business, at the time. He obviously does now, but at the time. And then we have a great CFO, David Gillette. But
Mm.
over the years, as you grow, you just get opportunity to bring more and more people into the business, that have really, really good business acumen. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they're not on the E&I side of the business, but they can learn that. But you're just getting good people that can help you see a different perspective, see different things that potentially we may not see. uh,
Yeah.
when you first start the business, it's anyone who's going to come into management or senior management or whatever has got to, has to have come from the trades. But then when you scale it and you get to a certain size, right, there's just, there's not as many of those folks that have the skill sets in order to grow it.
And
And
at a certain size, if they don't, it's okay.
yeah,
Like a really good CFO that has different experience sometimes can add different value than someone that's from the same type of thinking in the same environment. There's benefits to both.
yeah. And we've done we've promoted within the organization, in so many different there's so many different stories, where people have come from, you know, apprentice level up to
Isn't that
management,
awesome?
and senior managers and directors and whatnot. And yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, we always our our preference is always to promote within, if possible. But there's some roles that are, let's say, new to the company, and it isn't possible. But yeah, it is pretty cool to see, to
Yeah.
see where, people have evolved, or, even us, right, where we have evolved and taken the business, and you know, growing it from there. So, I mean, I see, I'm just staring at the book there in the back, scaling up. I mean, that was a huge,
Yeah.
uh, that was kind of a springboard for us as well, right? Where we first did our first scaling up session, and I know we're going to talk about that later, but it was,
But how did the what you said now? You're on it. Like, what is it about? Like, because you've got lots of great things around your people and you've got the drive. How did like scaling up's a framework that helps, right? And at a certain point, we need frameworks because there's too much going on. How did it specifically help you?
it just the team just dialed in, and we picked targets, and we, weekly, monthly, quarterly cadence, annual cadence, and we hit those targets. And
Yeah.
we had KPIs, and BHAGs, and you name it, right? And it was just something that kept us on track before, it was kind of pie in the sky kind of stuff. And we weren't, we this is where we want to be, and didn't have the roadmap to get us there. We were still growing and still doing amazing things,
Yeah, you
but
were.
it
Yep.
was not, yeah, it was just not as laid out. And so it definitely, it was awesome. It was a good start for us, for sure.
So how would you explain to another CEO, like at a certain point, everyone just does whatever seems best. And at a certain point, people end up adopting some sort of management system like that, like we like to call it, tools in the system. Otherwise the growth gets too messy. What would you say the biggest before and after, like what was the biggest difference after you'd been using it for a couple of years from your seat or from your Nick's perspective?
Probably what biggest perspective is we were sharing that information with the team, as opposed to,
Mm.
Nick and I, here's where we're going. And we were sharing information. And not it didn't come out day one. It was over time. We started sharing more and more information. I mean, we used to hold our cards pretty close to our chest.
Yeah.
And you start to, share information is
Yeah.
powerful. And once other people can see it and see the vision, and they buy in, and they have their KPIs, and everything funnels up
Yeah.
to a common, a common goal, which which has been amazing, and just growing the team, developing the team, encouraging, personal growth, amongst the players as well, right? So
Yeah. Well, the way you described it, Dean, is like a lot of CEOs say, is that it goes from being my plan, or in your case, your Nick's or your core team's plan. It starts becoming more people's plans. It goes from like my plan to our plan, gets those people engaged and their brains engaged, and it helps to improve the plan, but also it gets more buy-in and ownership. So you're kind of running together,
yeah,
and yeah, I hear that a lot because you always have a plan. It's just it's a way to scale it to other people.
yeah, and you find that everyone has their own, their own piece of the puzzle, and but man, people definitely take ownership in their piece, and while working with others as well, and other
Yep.
parts of the business, but they sure take ownership in that, and they want to they want to ensure that they don't let anyone else on the team
Yeah.
down. So
That's
yeah, it's pretty
that
awesome.
piece. I love watching that in the room where, because executives are all committing to what they're going to deliver on a quarterly basis. And it's great that they've done that. But in the back of everyone's mind, they know they have to show up in 90 days and say how they did. It's almost like taking a course and you've got an exam. And that desire not to let other people down is a big thing for for people who are seriously committed.
Yeah, and regardless what the executive team does, if everyone else is not pulling on the same rope, we can't get there.
It
Um,
won't work. Yeah. Yeah.
we need everybody working together as a team, and functioning well, and there again, doing what they say they're going to do, right? And
Yep.
it's huge, right? And there's no excuses, and people know that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's less likely to be excuses because people's commitments are so clear. Like in
yeah.
a way, it's very clear what's supposed. That's awesome. So if we zoom kind of out, like if you look back at your time doing this thing at CDN and what you've done, and you'll continue to do awesome stuff. What's the best decision you think you've ever made?
Well, I mean, that best decision I ever made was just taking a leap of faith, and starting CDN with Nick.
Yeah.
You know, we have similar values and principles, and work ethic. So, we weren't concerned about that, but that's kind of what catapulted it all. And yeah, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
here had we not, right? He's been an awesome partner and continues to be. And, I think we could both agree on that if neither of us, or if there was different partners in the business, we wouldn't be where we're sitting today. And
Yep.
second to that, with our recent acquisition from Hoffman Group, very excited to have them on the team. Not only are they amazing, accomplished business people, but they're even better human beings. So, they're great partners, and we're excited. And
Mm,
they're excited. They see the
that's
potential
good.
growth and the opportunity. So we're excited where we can take this over the next decade.
Yeah, it's cool. It's exciting when I watch companies that get to the point like you have, where you build a substantial business, and then there's more opportunities and more great partnerships available to you out there, whether it's strategic partnerships, capital partners, all kinds of other things. It opens up. It's almost like a video game. You get to the next level, and it opens up this whole other world that when you first started you weren't even aware of because you were just getting it rolling.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Cool. Let's talk about like lessons and wisdom, because wisdom's kind of hard earned along the way, but the best lessons you've learned that have made you a better CEO or a better person. And there's lots of great things that happen along the way, but sometimes the other stuff teaches us a few more things.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, you have days where you win, and your days where you lose, and you need to learn from both. So
Yeah.
you can replicate it, or on the loss side, where you don't let it happen again, right? And you got to be very mindful of that. I mean, Jim Collins talks about it, right? You can,
Yeah.
you know, you can multiply, it's how you react to those, and how you deal with those things. So, we're always very, cautious about getting too high or getting too low. I would say
Hmm.
one thing we probably don't do well is we don't celebrate our successes well. We give each other a pat on the back, and get back at her. But yeah, I mean, there's
That's a common trait, by the way, of high performing organizations.
yeah.
Is there the celebration, and often people are more likely to have to work on celebration versus having to work on the hard work part. And so when you got the hard work, you get a lot of stuff to celebrate, but you just often just keep on pushing.
Yeah, I mean, and surrounding ourselves by good people, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's definitely one thing, you learned over the years. You can't do your best if you're trying to shore up other people right along the way. So, you have to have amazing people that are
yeah,
working with you arm in arm, and it just helps, makes everything better. and
it's
and
everything.
and and you don't need people that have the same skill sets. You need different skill sets, different mindsets, that are all, achieving looking to achieve the same goal. Having, you want to have people that have similar values, and agree with the culture that you're pushing out throughout the organization. But having different skill sets is huge too.
Yep, yep. Anything else in terms of lessons for you?
Oh, I think that probably covers it.
That's good. Yeah, cool. So a couple other questions, and we'll get again a couple things. I also want to ask you about your own, resilience and how do you stay mentally strong. We'll get to that in a sec. If you go and look at biggest accomplishment, you've got lots of lessons and things, but what's the accomplishment you're most proud of along this journey?
Within with regards to CDN.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
or otherwise, yeah.
personally, I mean, I have three amazing kids. I have two sons and a daughter, Stone, Lola, and Cruz. I love my kids, and they've been an important, part of my success as well, right? They're my biggest fan, and they're my cheerleaders. So, I'm very fortunate to have them in my life, and as they grow up and mature, and become adults, it's awesome to watch.
No, wild. Yeah.
It's amazing how fast they grow up. But I'm you miss when they're younger, but it's pretty exciting when they become adults, and they're your best friends. And that's the next, it's the next chapter, and it's awesome too.
Yep.
They're all good stages along the way, but excited for the next phase for sure.
Yeah, that part's fun. Yeah, for sure. Um, the thing that in terms of your learning, like I know you've attended the lab with Jim Collins in Boulder, the 2 day experience with him, which I know you got a lot out of, and he's obviously amazing. Whether it's to do with him or other things, the resources, like the actual technical learning of books or podcasts or courses, which are the ones that have really resonated with you in a way where you continue to use those principles or think about those principles?
I mean, Good to Great is hands down. It's the one I
Yeah.
always thinking about looking at.
Good to Great is great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I refer back to it. I usually listen to the audiobook, once a year, just to
Mm.
refresh. And there's always something that you missed along the way. So, I'd put that one up there. I mean, your book, Put on Your Auction Mask First, is a great book. Lots of good value in there, and good, and just amazing concepts, right? From, obviously from yourself, but just makes sense, right? The concepts work.
Yeah.
BE 2.0, another Jim Collins book. Um, Great. I love that one as well. Just
Yeah, me too.
some refreshed ideas and principles in there. and then scaling up, which we had talked about earlier. Yeah, that kind of got us off the ground and got us thinking strategically and really focusing in on the business and putting plans and targets and KPIs in place. So was super helpful. One I recently read, Chop Wood and Carry Water. I don't know if you've read it, but anyways,
I've heard of it. I haven't read it. Somebody else referenced it.
it's a great book. Yeah, just like the book, like it's an easy read, and it just talks about you just got to put in the time. Like the 10,000 hours, right?
Yeah.
It's very similar concept, right? It's just everybody wants big role, or they want the promotion, but sometimes you gotta put in the effort and put in the time, and it'll come.
Yeah.
It comes, because you can't replace hard work, right? If people put in the effort and the time, right, they're always going to get rewarded in the end. So anyways,
It's funny. I say that to my kids. I said, and my kids are noticing it as they're starting to have, jobs while they're going to school. And I said, at the end of the day, most people try to cruise by. And you just have to work 10% harder than everybody else, and you will become the best in time. You will rise to the top and you will outperform everyone else, because most people are just trying to do the minimum. But when you work hard and do the extra, and then when you do that over time, it's almost impossible to not succeed at anything. Like, I've never seen someone who works incredibly hard. Obviously, there's bumps and bruises, but it's quite interesting at this stage of life looking back and I go, well, the people that didn't achieve a lot, well, they didn't usually work that hard, or they gave up. They gave up when it got tough, and that sounds like that's maybe what that book talks about.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, you have to put in the effort and the time, and there's very few people that have busted their back over the course of their lifetime that didn't achieve what they wanted to, because it's almost impossible, because you can outwork most people, because a lot of
you
people
can outwork 99% of people.
Inherently lazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's fast. Yeah, we could talk about that one forever. It's awesome. So speaking of outworking takes a lot of energy, and I know you crank hard and your team cranks hard. So what do you do? In your oxygen mask first, we talked about resilience rituals. Like, what do you do for your resilience, for your body, mind, spirit, to stay strong and charged up? Because it's not always easy. So what do you do to stay strong and charged up?
Yeah, I mean, I used to, run on fumes. I would say I'm trying not to do that as much anymore, but definitely, trying to exercise, keep the body and the mind, ready, make sure they're ready to go when needed. Eat good when possible. I do travel a lot, and I am.
What does good mean? Does good mean those really good restaurants, or does that mean vegetables and a piece of fish?
Yeah. Eat less, but still have really good meals. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. We have that in common. We both love great food. Yeah, I know.
When you're at home, try to cook a few more meals, and watch what you're putting into your body. Just I think as you get older, it's more important, right? When you're young,
it's more obvious. Yeah.
You can burn the candle at both ends and still run 100%, but as you get aged, it's not quite as easy. But yeah, definitely. And I try to spending time with family and friends, and try to try to get a little bit of downtime, and turn it off every once in a while. Take some vacations. It was one thing we didn't take a lot of when we started the business and we're growing the business. There wasn't a ton of time, and there still isn't, but we're mindful of making sure people get some downtime as well.
Yeah. I was talking to another CEO in the US this morning, and we're talking just one of our sessions, but just talking about how, like, normally when he gets to this time of the year, every year he starts to burn out, and by the time he gets to the holidays, he's just exhausted. And then he would always, take time to recover after the holidays and into January. And I sort of said the same. Like, I used to kind of the same thing, burn the candle at both ends. It's just hard to sustain that. And, we're in November when we're recording this, and often in December, I used to get just burnt out and sick. So my goal these years is to not have the candle go out every year at the holidays. right? We'll see how it goes this year. I think I'm doing better, but time will tell when we get there.
Yeah, well, I know the feeling. There was many Christmases when the kids were younger that, I'd have the cold or the flu or be
Yep.
totally run down, and trying my best to get some energy, so, when they're opening presents and doing Christmas dinners and whatnot. But yeah, just totally burnt out by the end of the year.
Yeah. I remember, and I used to do a lot of time in the Middle East then, and I would be jet lagged and sick and all those things. And that's like their 30s and 40s a lot of times, just pushing way too hard. I mean, it gets results, but yeah, hopefully I'm trying to be smarter myself. Yeah. Awesome. So speaking of 30s and 40s and advice, well, if you could give the younger version of yourself, or just someone who's earlier, someone who's at the 20 employee version of you, what advice would you give the person that's really trying to start to build something great like you've done, and yeah, they want to, what would you suggest to that person?
Well, I mean, you're not gonna nail it every time on everything. There's gonna be highs, lows. There's gonna be wins, losses. But you know what? If you have the entrepreneurial spirit, bet on yourself all day long. I love being an
Mm,
entrepreneur, and if people have that desire and that motivation and work ethic, I mean, go do it. You set your pace, and pace is fast, but go do it. And at the end of the day,
mm-hmm.
if you work that 10% harder than the next guy,
Yeah.
you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would encourage people to do it. It wouldn't change anything for the world.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
happy.
It's hard and it's rewarding and it's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And the 10% sometimes turns into 20% harder than other people.
Yeah, well, that just means
That's the game.
you're out hustling them, and
Yeah, exactly.
next guy
I
you're
like that. Bet on yourself, like betting on yours, because that's really what you're doing. You're betting on yourself to figure it out, to take the lumps, to get the lessons and move on.
yeah.
And yeah.
There's going to be lumps.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way around it, right? And but you got to learn from those, and you got to dust yourself off and get back in the seat and get going again, right? Like you
Yep.
can't dwell on it. You learn from it,
Nope.
and away you go. But
Move on. Move
that's
on.
part,
We have
if
one of our
if it was
slides I was
easy,
sharing with.
everybody would.
What's that?
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly. I've got a slide that I keep track of how much money I've been a part of making bad decisions about in boardrooms I'm in. It's at $350 million. I've been in the room where we made choices and then the one went, psh, $350 million of burnt cash, like cash, not opportunity cost, cash. And it's all kinds of bad. It's like, but it's what people don't realize is how the number of bad decisions and expensive mistakes that happen along the way. We're not excited to talk about those to people, but
Yeah.
it's part of the game.
But on the other side, that number will trump the 350. So
Oh,
yeah,
the just in company in client exits, it's been billions of dollars of exits, and most of our clients haven't sold.
yeah.
So yeah, it pays for itself in spades in time, but yeah, it's part of the journey. Yeah, cool. So final thing for you, and Dina, thanks for sharing your journey and your experience. But what's the next big thing for your company? If we look forward, let's say the next decade, what's that? What does that look like for you?
Well, I mean, obviously to grow and maintain CDN, like we always have, but continued growth here. But our focus and trajectory for more growth is going to be in the US and globally with Cavis Energy. That's the brand that we created, for our global brand outside of Canada, US and
Mm,
globally. But we just see tons of opportunity and our skill sets, Canada has some of the best tradespeople and skilled people in the world, and I think we can leverage that and grow that area of the business, obviously with the Hoffman family behind us and helping us
hmm
through that through that growth. You know, we're excited about that. And yeah, we just world domination. I think, you know,
I love it.
one of our, you know, one of our big goals is, you know, to be, you know, world leader in the space that we operate in. And
Wow. That's
we're,
exciting.
we're heading there. And yeah, we're excited to see where it can go. We got lots of fuel in the tank. Nobody's tapping out. We got a, you know, younger, you know, management team, ownership team. So everybody's excited to see where we can go and see where we can take it, and the continued growth.
That's awesome. So two guys jumping out of a business and starting off their own, turning into 750, and soon heading towards a global company. And maybe next time we talk, you'll be sitting in some other country with your next new country that you're opening up. That's awesome.
Let's hope.
That's good. Well, hey, it's all just determination, as you know, right? Just continue to push, have good people, good partnerships.
Yeah,
Bet on yourself. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dean, thank you so much for taking the time today. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm excited to see what happens next. You've come a long way and you've accomplished, you got to a scale that most businesses never get to. Most businesses can't get to the scale you're at. And it's exciting to see that you want to continue.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate the chat.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.